We're going to take a moment to run through the features of the new 4.0 firmware and the most commonly used items. When you get to your new NVR or DVR, you're probably going to see the screen look something like this. At this point in time, you may want a menu. To get to the menu, we hover on the bottom of the screen, or we can right-click on the screen. If you're logged in, a menu will come up. If you're not logged in, you will get this screen which asks you to log in. If you know your pattern, you can draw it. If you don't know your pattern, then you can select Switch User, and you can log in as the admin or the user with the appropriate password. I'm going to use the pattern so that you can see how that works. And it's a drag and drop. Your pattern is probably different than this one. Once you're logged in, we have access to the menus. We have access to the information about the machine, which this is for firmware updates. This is for taking a quick look at alarm or exceptions. Probably not going to use that very much. This is where you can see the progress of any files you might be backing up. And this is where you have the ability to log out, shut down, or reboot. If you're not an admin, you won't be able to shut down or reboot from here. We'll have the list of cameras. Across the bottom, we have the ability to toggle through certain groups of cameras. We can change the tiles. We can turn on what's called auto switch. Auto switch just keeps cycling the cameras automatically every 5 to 10 seconds. It will go to the next group of cameras. Start all day continuous recording. Please don't select this. Your machine is recording as it should. If it's not, reach out to a technician. Final item is full screen view. Again, to get into the menus, we scroll to the bottom till this menu populates, and we can shut it off. Or we can just right click anywhere on the screen. Either way, we get the same result. Notice there's usually icons on the top right hand side of the screen. What these two icons mean is that there's been an alarm event. The alarm event happens to be that this particular camera is seeing motion. As a result of that, it's been programmed to record the video. Cameras don't really see motion, they see color change. In this particular scenario, this light is probably causing the camera to record because it's a fluorescent light. Let's talk about the icons across the bottom of each camera screen. Capture gives you the ability to take a snapshot picture. This is a lot more handy if you're logged in using your iPhone or your iPad. There's really not a lot of reason to use it here because we're recording video when we see things anyways. Instant playback just is exactly that. It drops you right into the playback file. This is a pan tilt zoom icon for a camera with a motorized lens. We won't be using that. This is digital zoom. You might use this. The way that you do this is you put your mouse on what you want to see, and then you roll the wheel on the top of the mouse. When you're done, you can roll the wheel back out, and as with most menus, we right click to back out of the feature. Some cameras have audio, some do not. Notice we have the ability to change the quality of the image on live view. If you have a 16-channel recorder and you only have 4 cameras on it, you might be able to run the video at real time. If you have a 32-channel recorder with 32 high-resolution video images, you might only be able to run it on fluency. It has to do with a balance between the amount of cameras and the amount of system resources your particular recorder has. This just gives you information about the current bit rate, resolution of the camera. This allows you to stop recording, but it's, again, I'm going to ask that you don't touch these features on the machine. You have two different image qualities. One is a substream, one is a mainstream. You can toggle back and forth between the two and the image quality will change. Again, this has to do with the number of cameras that you have and the system resources of your machine. Point of sale is for cash register interface. 3D positioning is a feature that's available with a pan tilt zoom camera. With that said, let's go into Playback. This is where you're going to spend most of your time when you're working with the machine, I would think. This is when you're going to want to come in here and take a look at what happened in the past and maybe burn a thumb drive. So let's focus on that. First of all, you're going to notice you have a list of your available cameras on the left. Second thing you're going to notice is you have timeline across the bottom with some features, and you have a calendar. This is a new system that was just programmed. It's getting ready to be installed. This particular system has only had 1 or 2 days of recorded video history since it's been sitting here burning in. With that said, you notice the little red Q right here. This tells you that there's recorded video on October 31st. If we go forward, you can see that today is the 1st of November. You notice a little red dot. With that said, you can select any day, but there'll only be video on days that has the red Q. So let's pick a camera and see what we have for available video. So we've picked this camera here, and you can see it says that there is some sort of recorded video on the 31st. And you notice it populates the timeline. If we want to go to the November day, notice again we have some video recorded on the 1st, and the little red dot on the bottom tells you that that is, according to the machine, the current day. So we can double click on this and it'll repopulate. If you have questions about what day you're on, the actual day and time is listed right here. It gives you the day and it gives you the time that you're currently on. So if we go back to October and we click once, notice it doesn't change. We've got to click twice. Double click. Now it resets the day and the time. I would try to look at one camera at a time, if at all possible. The more cameras you add to look at Playback simultaneously, the more confusing it will be. With that said, we have one camera picked. We have a date. We have time. Video is currently playing because we have the ability to pause it. Video is now not playing because we have the ability to play it. When video is playing, if you notice, if we hover over the timeline and give the machine a moment to do so, it will populate thumbnails of a particular time, and then you can go to them rapidly. This is a good way to find something that you're looking for pretty quick. You can just hover throughout the day. As it currently stands, you do have the ability to zoom in on the day. If you notice, you have 24 hours of runtime here right now. So let's drop this down. Now we're only looking at 20 minutes. Again, when I hover, I get thumbnails of that time frame. And we can look at 4 hours of video. And again, we can go back to the whole day, a 24-hour period. So let's say we found our video that we want to make a backup of. And here's the event. The first thing we do is we come down here to turn on the clip feature. We're right here. When we turn on this clip feature, there's two slide bars that are going to populate. Here's one that I'm setting, and here's the other that I'm setting. You want to make sure you are before and after the event that took place. So we've currently set the recording to start at 7:58 and end at 9:08. That's a lot of video. I'm going to shrink that down a little bit. I don't want it to record quite that long. And I'll bring this back a little bit. So now we're 7:58 to 8:06. That sounds about right. So now we've selected a start time and a stop time by using the ability to change our timeline size and by moving around these two cursors. Once we've done that, the next step is to make sure your channel is selected. Notice this red dot in the middle with the white check mark. What that means is this is the camera that you're going to make a backup file of. If you had two cameras up here and you wanted to back them both up, you'd have to make sure this red circle with the white check mark was up. I just made it go away by left clicking. I'm left clicking again on the screen and it comes back up. You must select the channel. So with that said, let's just do a real quick review. We've picked the camera, we've picked the day, we've turned on our clipping, we've set our two times, and we have our red circle with the white check mark in it. At that point, we can come down here and notice export clip. This page you're going to need to come to twice if you've never done this before. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to burn the video on the log. So we're going to say OK. I have a thumb drive in the recorder right now. If you didn't, this would be blank. You need to put a thumb drive in. The next thing you should do is, if there's nothing on the thumb drive and you have not used it for this device before, you should format it. We'll do that. Now that it's formatted, we'll stay with MP4 and we'll hit OK. Now we're going to check our status. It's already done. So that quickly the machine backed up 5 minutes of video. And we'll get rid of that. So that's gone. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go back and we're going to get the player. So we're going to go back here to export clip, and this time we're going to select the player, not the video. You can't play this video on a Windows-based machine without the player. So now we click OK. It's asking you again, where do you want to place it? We're going to place it on the thumb drive. Notice the file is here that we already burned. We click OK. And the player has been loaded. So let's just check that. Yes. So we now have the player. We have the player. We have the video file. And we have a tag file that goes along with every video that we burn. So we have these items. At this point in time, you've made a backup, and you can take that thumb drive and plug it into your PC. When you plug it into your PC, you'll navigate to the thumb drive, you'll open up the player, it will be in a zip file, so you'll have to take it out of the zip file. Once the player is open, then you'll just point at those files that are on the thumb drive and you'll be able to play them. So we can click on these scissors over here to get rid of the start and the stop time. The rest of this is pretty straightforward. If you hover over an icon, it will tell you backward, forward, play in reverse, slow the speed down, speed the speed up during playback. Normal, event. I wouldn't touch these two. It's really not going to be pertinent for 90% of the people. Disable point of sale. This is for a cash register interface. 95% of the people will never use it. Switch to substream. That's not important here, so let's just stay away from that. And again, split screen allows you to go from one camera to two. We're gonna, for our purposes, we're gonna say let's stay out of multiple screens. Let's just stay with one. With that said, if we want to switch a camera, we uncheck this one, and we can check another one. Again, double click on the day that you want to see and verify that you're on the day that you want to see down here. Then you can begin your playback, change your size of your timeline, find your video. When you're done in this screen, we come back up to menu. We can go back to live view. And if you're concerned about the security of the machine, you can come here and you can log out. And now you have your video burned, you have your file, and you've logged back out of the machine. Thank you for your time.